published 1928 Est, the 25th of November 2017, updated 0319 Est, the 26th of November 2017. Persuade Brits to leave the EU, tempt Scots to break up the United Kingdom, back Catalans who want to split from Spain, and fix who occupies the White House. The charge sheet against the Kremlin grows longer every day and gets ever more startling. No wonder the Prime Minister has just labelled Russia a hostile state. Theresa May has accused Vladimir Putin of trying to weaponize information to undermine democracies and warned EU leaders that Moscow is trying to tear our collective strength apart. Theresa May has accused Vladimir Putin of trying to weaponize information in a bid to tear our collective strength apart. If she is right, there are many signs she is. It is a warning that we all need to pay heed to. This is not a threat which can be left to the politicians to deal with. It is something that the all-powerful and all too often unaccountable social media companies need to address. What's more, we as citizens must start to ask questions about where our news and information comes from, and what we should trust. I've spoken about this threat to those who have headed intelligence agencies here and in the United States, and to former national security advisors on both sides of the Atlantic. They couldn't be clearer. Russia is deploying information in the way it once deployed tanks and missiles. Its aim is to weaken its traditional enemies and old alliances, NATO, the US, the EU and, yes, the UK. All this, they claim, fits with the Gerasimov doctrine of hybrid war, named after the chief of the General Staff of Russia's armed forces, General Valery Gerasimov. In an essay a few years ago, he wrote of blurring the lines between the states of war and peace, and using long-distance, contactless actions against the enemy, including informational actions, devices, and means that are constantly being perfected. Why should Russia do this? One answer is her leaders have long believed that they are under assault from the West. Another is because with an economy less than a tenth of the size of America, China or the EU, Moscow calculates it is the most efficient and effective way to flex its muscles. Russia spreads fake news via fake social media accounts and using fake amplifiers, cyber systems that repeat and effectively turn up the volume of those messages. This is not about pushing particular brands of ideology, it's about affecting your everyday life. The aim is to spread division and discord, which is why Russian Twitter accounts kept tweeting about Brexit long after the result was in. It explains why accounts run from a Kremlin-linked operation tried to stir up anti-Islamic feeling during the Westminster Bridge terror attack in March in a bogus post claiming a Muslim woman ignored victims. Now, I've learned, there are concerns that Russia is even fueling anti-vaccine campaigns on social media. What, you may wonder, would be the propaganda value of spreading concern about giving your child a measles jab? The answer, according to those I've spoken to, is to encourage the view that the authorities cannot be trusted. It's an attempt to undermine faith in the institutions that we used to trust. So let's be clear, this isn't just about politics or global power plays, it's something that can affect us all, even if news and politics bore is rigid. It can affect the way we live our lives day to day. To this end, it spreads fake news via fake social media accounts and using fake amplifiers, cyber systems that repeat and effectively turn up the volume of those messages. There is now irrefutable evidence Russia interfered in the US presidential election, unless, like Donald Trump, you are prepared to take Putin's word he did no such thing. Facebook, which initially derided the suggestion it had carried Russian paid-for propaganda, has since admitted that 126 million Facebook users in the US were exposed to Russian-created political content. The company is now creating a system so users can check whether posts should come with a "Made in Russia" health warning. Too little, too late. Facebook has admitted that 126 million Facebook users in the US were exposed to Russian-created political content. There is also proof Emmanuel Macron's emails were hacked and leaked in the run-up to the French election. Spain's Prime Minister has claimed that half of the Twitter accounts that fueled the debate about Catalan independence were registered in Russia. There is now proof that Russian bots automated Twitter and Facebook accounts, and troll factories posted thousands of messages in the run-up to the Brexit vote. Furthermore, the Electoral Commission has opened an inquiry into whether the Leave EU campaign may have been bankrolled with the help of Russian rubles, an allegation that its co-founder and financier Aaron Banks has firmly denied. So, was it the Kremlin what won it? So far, there is no firm evidence the Kremlin tried to, let alone succeeded, in bringing about Brexit. However, we do need to ask why so many tweets and posts about the things which divide people in the UK seem to come from Russia. In the Black Sea town of Gelendzhik, why did Svetlana Lukyanchenko sign up to Twitter a month before our EU referendum and post a retweet almost 100 messages mentioning Brexit? Why was it that after the Scottish referendum Russian accounts spread rumours of ballot boxes being stuffed with no votes? I am not arguing that those who backed Brexit or Scottish independence fell for a foreign plot. But we need to understand why the Kremlin might want to set up its own TV news network in London called RT, or Russia Today, and a news agency in Edinburgh called Sputnik. Scotland's former First Minister Alex Salmond has lent his credibility to a network paid for, run by and operating in the interests of the Kremlin. May only have a few 100,000 viewers in the UK, but that number may be boosted by their new talk show host, Scotland's former First Minister Alex Salmond, who has lent his credibility to a network paid for, run by and operating in the interests of the Kremlin. RT is Russian propaganda which, unlike those bots and troll factories, operates in plain sight. Nigel Farage was also offered a slot on RT before he got his own show on Fox News. The link between these two unlikely bedfellows is that the most ardent supporters of UKIP and the SNP are inclined to believe that what they call the MSM, mainstream media, is biased against them. Through RT, the Kremlin is only too pleased to encourage that view. The visible and invisible arms of Kremlin propaganda often work together. Soon after Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was shot down over eastern Ukraine, killing 298 people, a fake tweet from a non-existent Spanish air traffic controller claimed it had been downed by a Ukrainian fighter jet. The post was retweeted by others and picked up by and promoted by RT. We now live in an age where a large proportion of people get their news from social media, and like or share what they read. News is, as a result, increasingly being reduced to a three-letter word, OMG, lol, WTF. If you can game the algorithms, it is all too easy to manipulate the emotions of a large part of the population. That's why we all need to wise up to what is going on, a state-sponsored effort to hack into our national conversation. It's why politicians, social media companies and we as citizens should do more to protect our democracy and freedoms.